Do you foresee any problems with this technique, with thinking aloud? As you probably noticed, it's difficult to divide your attention in this way, and it can slow down the process. With a particularly cognitively demanding task, it might be very challenging to get the data that you want and to have the participant think aloud the entire time. So, another technique you might consider is constructive interaction. With constructive interaction, two people use this interface together. And then you observe the normal conversation that emerges from the two people. So the observer is watching, they're not interfering. You have the participant saying, "Why did you go to the logout screen?" The other participant says, "You pressed the logout button, not okay." And the participant says, "Oh." So now you've got this, both the thoughts of the first participant and you've got another participant telling why that's happening. And so it is identifiable that this is a problem, but you also know what they're doing. And that can help them recover from errors as well. Co-discovery is another method that's similar to constructive interaction. With co-discovery, you have one participant and one coach. The participant then asks a question of the coach or continues to use the interface. They might say, "How do I log out?" And the coach might tell them, "Press the logout button." The observer then just continues to watch this. You can structure this with the coach as another participant, a domain expert, or as a member of your team, whatever makes sense for the situation at hand. So that's direct observation. Query-based methods are where you actively engage the participants in conversation or asking queries from them. You might know interviews. In fact, we covered this at length in a previous lesson, so we're going to move on. Retrospective testing is where you perform observation, like silent observation, and you video record it. So you have the observer, you have the participant using the interface, and then you've got a video set up. You could probably do screen capture as well. When you do silent observation or any of the other methods, you probably want to video record anyway. It helps have that data at hand. But for now, this technique really, really requires it. Then the participant and the observer watch again later. So you have the participant and the observer taking a look at the recording, and then the observer can ask, "Why didn't you press the logout button?" And the participant says, "That looked like a power button to me." So now you're asking questions, but you still have that naturalistic observation. So you kind of get this extra step, which is really, really valuable. Of course, it takes longer to do this. So you might want to consider whether you need to put that additional bit of resources into this data. Group discussions and questionnaires and surveys. We've already talked a bit about both of these. With group discussions, we've talked about how you might do this for a focus group, some of the advantages and disadvantages of that. You have to really know how to get the right people in the room and how to manage the flow of the discussion so that no one dominates or is too passive in that discussion. So there's a real art to group discussions. We've also talked about questionnaires and surveys. One thing you might want to consider is when you do the questionnaire in your overall set of techniques. You might consider a pre-questionnaire, a post-questionnaire, something in between different interfaces if you're comparing them. And remember, each one of those will add time and might prime the participant. They might already know some of the things you're asking for, and they might watch out for those. If you're asking with the logout button, they may pay special attention to the logout button. And if you do this in a pre-questionnaire, then it's unlikely that they will do a naturalistic response to that. They might, take double check the logout button and then click it when they would have made a mistake or not interpreted the system feedback the way that you intended. But we've already talked about how to design questionnaires themselves, so we'll leave it at that. So now it's your turn. Follow the instructions on Learn to pick two of the qualitative methods we discussed today. Describe each, then list at least one pro and one con for each. You can have one pro and con kind of mirror each other or be something else. Go ahead.